Well, the Titans ruined their only streak that they got, and they also lost. So it can't get much better than that. Let's talk about it next here on the Upload Rant. This Upload Rant is brought to you by BetUS. So the Tennessee Titans, well, who's to blame? You know, I hear a lot of the watch parties. Do you blame Levis? Do you blame NWI? Do you blame Ridley? Do you blame the offensive line? Do you blame the defense, which didn't seem to show up? Do you blame coaching? And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, I don't care who you want to blame. The problem is the Titans are just a bad football team. And shame on me for even getting some level of excitement in the win last week against Houston. So there are a couple directions I want to go with this rant. Number one, Washington came ready to play. I watched them last week. I went back and watched the All-22 on them. Against Dallas, they weren't great. They weren't great. They did do some really good things on special teams, and that's all I'll say. Jaden Daniels is pretty good. I'll give you that. McLaurin, their best receiver, the Titans didn't want to cover him. And in the rush department, everybody. They even brought back Jerome Bettis, which is Rodriguez Jr., and he was running all over the Titans in the second half. But when you look at the beginning of the game, this is where my blame's going to go. It's going to go on coaching. I'm going to blame Callahan on this one as the head coach. And we used to get on Vrabel sometimes for this. I don't remember ever getting on Mike Mularkey for this, but I know we did blame Vrabel a little bit. When you're playing in games, and I would say this game somewhat mattered. Now, I know the Colts came back and won today. I know the Texans squeaked one out against Jacksonville, so that kind of changes things a little bit. But going into this game, I mean, we were thinking, hey, we have an opportunity to run the table. We have an opportunity to win 5 of these next 6 games, realistically. And when the first quarter goes out and your first offensive possession ends up in more penalty yards than anything you really got in the first quarter in general, that's a problem. And that just tells me the team wasn't ready to go. The offense wasn't ready to go. And even play calling wasn't ready to go. Like, I mean, here's the issue. Like, some of you will blame Levis. Some of you will say Levis was awesome and it was everybody else's fault. And it kind of goes back and forth like a teeter-totter. But the issue to me is the fact that I can't keep going an entire quarter to start football games where I don't have a coach that trusts his quarterback to throw the ball downfield. I mean, everything is so super micromanaged all the time when it comes to Levis's arm. You're either going to let him throw it or you're not going to let him throw it. And you're going to put training wheels on him or you're not. And I'm just saying, like, in the beginning of this game, there were a couple things that Washington I thought we fit really well. Washington had like the 28th rush defense. Not very good. Giving up a lot of yards. And of course, the Titans only were able to rush the ball a handful of times for not many yards today. The other concern with Washington is, you're like, hey, they have the 4th best pass defense. But when you broke it down a little further, it was not that great. They were like 20th, I believe, in the NFL in pass per completion. So you had some room to do some things, but Washington set the tone. They brought the pressure, they brought a lot of guys up, and they were constantly trying to harass the line of scrimmage. Keep in mind, the offensive line, for how bad they've been, the last couple starts from Levis, it's been 20 sacks. He only was sacked 2 times today. Now, a couple of them, he was able to get out of there and make something out of nothing, which is props to him. But it goes back to the slow start. The slow start was enough just to destroy the whole game. The Titans had a little bit of momentum, scoring at 13 unanswered. But even late in the the first possession, the second half, and the second one when we got off the turnover, you get the ball down the 15, and then all the crap starts to hit the fan again. You have the whose fault was the snap when it hits Levis in the shoulder pad. It can't do anything, get out of there. I mean, how many drops did the guys have? NWI, yes, he did have 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. But between him and Ridley, they had 15 targets and had 5 catches. I mean, that's just not good enough. And how many drops, whether it be Pollard, whether it be Ridley, or whether it be NWI. Keep in mind, NWI had like 4 drops to start the game. So there's a lot of fingers that should be pointed. I think the defense really did not help the Titans out at all, realistically. They were basically non-existent in the first quarter. And that also buried the Titans. But you know what? Who doesn't bury the Titans? our friends over at BetUS. Shout out to them. They are trying to help and encourage you when they're giving you such an awesome offer. 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on deposits 2 and 3, all up to $2K if you just use that promo code YouTube150. Yes, that is right. BetUS is one of the best in the business, and they don't have off quarters. They don't have days where some days they show up and other days they don't. They don't have days where you win big and they kind of fall off the earth for, 48 to 72 hours. No, they're consistent. They have great customer service. You know exactly what you're going to get over at BetUS, and they let you make the call. But you got to make the right one. You got to be obviously in a state that you can do it. You got to be old enough. But shout out to our friends over again at BetUS. Use that promo code YouTube150. So the final rant is obviously on the defense. The defense, for the most part, was a train wreck. Just an absolute train wreck. It didn't do a whole lot of anything right. Amani Hooker did get the interception, I believe, in the third quarter to help, and they did get a stop to help move the ball. But this game was like 28-0 at one point. Washington luckily slowed down a little bit. But even in the rush, we came into the 9th best rush defense in the NFL. And when I look over my stat sheet, I see 45 rushes for 267 yards, 5.9 yards per rush, and 3 touchdowns. You have one guy over 100 yards and another guy at 94, and you had a former Titan who also had 5.3 yards per carry. Yeah, that's not going to be good enough. I can say, hey, offensive line, you did okay, but there are little things in the second half, like a 3rd and 1 giving up a 7 to 10 yard run right up the gut. Like, that can't happen. Or your best player, McLaurin, having opportunity to catch the ball after opportunity and when the game mattered because nobody wanted to cover him. I get it. There's some injuries. But bottom line is this just not good enough defensively. It brings me to my last point. How are you feeling about the Tennessee Titans? I know some of you have been, this is it. You're out. You're done. They got you a little bit of a roller coaster, and now we're right back to the bad. But honestly, this was a pretty bad performance by the Titans. I would go ahead and let you make that grade in that final call. I give the performance, obviously, in the first half did enough. It's like showing up for the test and just not even putting your name on it. So I give the lackluster performance a D-. Now, I know everybody don't care about that. They care about one thing, quarterback. Do we blame the quarterback? Do we not? Does Upload blame the quarterback? Does he not? I will just say this to you. All honesty, I don't care. I don't care. You want to blame the quarterback? Blame the quarterback. You don't want to blame the quarterback? You want to blame somebody else? I've been exhausted with this. All I can tell you is Will Levis started another game and took another L. Okay? Offensive line, on theory, gave him more time. I mean, he didn't get sacked 7 to 8 times. Remember last week, he got sacked 7 times in the first half alone. But since that second half and this game total, so that gives you 6 quarters, he's only been sacked 3 times. Now, I don't think Levis played terrible. The touchdown NWI was beautiful. We get in debates, was this guy should have stopped? Should this guy not have stopped? I would figure by now, going into week 14 next week, that the team would have some cohesiveness and be able to work things to know what guys are going to do. But I don't really see that. That's why I'm not even going the Levis route. I'm putting a lot of this on Callahan because Callahan goes right back to the beginning of the game where these guys aren't prepared to play. You can't have 2 false starts right out of the gate or whatever it was, or legal procedure, and then be right behind the sticks to start this game on the road, for that matter, which wasn't even a sellout, by the way. A lot of empty seats in Washington. Shame on you. But here it comes. End of the day, this team is just not good enough. There's your theme of the day. Team's not good enough. You don't want to blame Rand? Fine. You don't want to blame Callahan? Fine. You don't want to blame Levis? Fine. You don't want to blame the receivers scrubbing balls? Fine. You don't want to blame the offensive line? Fine. You don't want to blame the defense? Fine. But the point is, what's going to change this next season? What's going to be better? Oh, we're going to get this draft pick. Jaquan Jackson. Can we at least admit that's not working out right now? Can we at least admit that? I mean, we're talking now 5 fumbles on the year, 3 at least in the last 3 weeks, and 2 in the last 2 weeks that he's lost. And they're still throwing him out there. Now, thankfully, Washington only punted one time tonight. But that's got to get addressed ASAP. Again, I know a guy who just got engaged that plays for the Titans, and he will go out there and not drop the ball. So there's that. But they got to seriously fix that problem because they're not even using Jaquan Jackson on offense anymore. So what good is he doing for the team? Not much of anything. And again, let me know in the comments, who do you blame for this fiasco for the Titans? No wrong answers at all. You just let me know how you're feeling. And again, shout out to our sponsor, BetUS, 150%. Use that promo code YouTube150.